Chapter 3, Projective Identification. Imagine you're sitting in a room with a friend who's feeling really angry. They don't say much, but suddenly you start feeling tense or irritated, almost as if their emotions are rubbing off on you. This happens often in relationships. And while it may seem simple, there's a deeper psychological process going on called projective identification. What is projective identification? In psychology, projective identification is a term used to describe how one person's feelings or thoughts can be projected onto another person, almost like handing over an unwanted emotional package. It starts with someone having strong feelings that they may not fully understand or want to deal with. Instead of managing those feelings themselves, they push them onto someone else who then starts feeling and acting in ways that match those emotions. It's important to note that this process often happens unconsciously, meaning both people involved may not realize it's happening. The person doing the projecting doesn't intentionally try to make the other person feel a certain way. And the person who receives those feelings may not be aware that they're picking up on emotions that aren't truly theirs. How projective identification affects daily life. This psychological dynamic plays out in everyday interactions, often without us noticing. In relationships, whether with friends, family members, or even coworkers, it can cause misunderstandings, unnecessary conflict, or stress. For example, if someone feels anxious but doesn't know how to handle it, they may unconsciously act in ways that make the people around them feel anxious too. This can lead to a situation where everyone is on edge without knowing why. In a family setting, a parent who feels overwhelmed might project that sense of helplessness onto their child. The child, in turn, may begin to act out or feel frustrated, even if they don't fully understand why they're feeling that way. The parent may then criticize the child for their behavior, which adds to the cycle of frustration. At work, a boss who feels insecure about their leadership abilities might behave in a controlling or critical manner, making their employees feel incompetent or unsure of themselves. As a result, the employees may start doubting their skills, even though the real issue stems from the boss's feelings. Real-life analogy: passing a hot potato. To make this concept easier to grasp, let's use a simple analogy. Imagine someone is holding a hot potato, a metaphor for an uncomfortable emotion like anger or fear. The person holding the hot potato doesn't want to keep it because it's uncomfortable, so they quickly pass it to someone else. That other person now has the hot potato and feels the heat, even though they weren't the one holding it initially. In the case of projective identification, the hot potato is an emotion that's being passed from one person to another. The person who receives it might start feeling the same discomfort, anger, sadness, etc., without realizing where it came from. This creates confusion and often makes it harder for both people to understand why they're feeling what they're feeling. How therapists see and work with projective identification. From a therapist's perspective, projective identification is something that can be observed during sessions. Clients may unconsciously project their emotions onto the therapist, and the therapist might begin to feel some of the client's emotions like anxiety, sadness, or frustration. This is a natural part of the therapeutic process, and a skilled therapist can recognize when it's happening. Once a therapist becomes aware of projective identification in a session, they use it as a tool to help the client. By identifying and exploring the emotions that have been projected, the therapist can guide the client toward understanding their own feelings more deeply. The goal is for the client to recognize their emotions, take responsibility for them, and learn healthier ways of managing them instead of pushing them onto others. The impact of projective identification in relationships. In any close relationship, projective identification can create emotional confusion. You might find yourself feeling emotions that don't seem to match what's happening around you. For example, during an argument with a partner, one person might project their insecurities, causing the other to feel unsure about themselves, even if they weren't feeling that way initially. This can lead to more arguments or misunderstandings because the emotions are being borrowed from the other person. Recognizing when this process is happening can help improve relationships. Instead of reacting to feelings that may not be your own, you can pause and consider whether the emotions you're experiencing are coming from within you or from someone else. Conclusion. Projective identification is a psychological concept that explains how emotions can be transferred from one person to another, often without either person realizing it. It happens in everyday life, affecting relationships, work environments, and even family dynamics. By understanding and recognizing when projective identification occurs, we can better manage our emotions and respond more thoughtfully to the feelings of others. Just like passing a hot potato, when we are aware of what's happening, we can choose not to hold on to emotions that aren't really ours.